Okay, so in this Coca-Cola crate, I have a whole collection of Toyota IFS suspension parts. Now, why, you might ask? Well, let's go into depth about why these parts are not of good quality. Except for this, I mean, this is a Toyota part right here. So, separate story. Idler arm. Okay. Today we're talking about aftermarket ball joints. Okay. So, I read online on Utatech, people were saying, "Oh, buy the Moog stuff. They're all, the Moog ball joints are high quality stuff." Well, here is a Moog lower ball joint, and yes, it is genuine Moog. It's not like someone returned it in the Moog box and I got to buy it, because it says Moog right on it. You can see there's the Moog stamp on it, and these seem pretty nice, and they had people said they were good, and it has a grease fitting on it, so you should be able to grease it all the time. But look at the seal design. Now, as soon as I got these, I realized that this probably wasn't going to last very long. So this is the seal. It doesn't clamp on or anything. It just fits over like that. That's it. So that leaves, there's very little actual sealing going on there. You can see that this surface here is all rough. There's no spring clamp or anything holding this on. It just sits like that. So I figured, okay, well, that's probably not going to work very well, but maybe the engineers over at Moog know something. So I tried it out. Now, if the seal's bad, whatever. That's unfortunate. But here's what happens when the seal lets dirt in. And I greased these religiously because I didn't want anything to happen. Look at this ball joint. Just loose. And it actually spins. The stud is actually spinning inside of the ball there. So these went bad very quickly. So I do not recommend the Moog ball joints for Toyota IFS trucks. Well, here you can see on May 15th, 319, I replaced the tie rod ends, upper lower ball joints. Those were all Moog parts. Upper lower, inner and outer ball joint, or upper lower ball joints, inner and outer tie rods. And then one went bad. Let's see, replace the right lower. Alright, 2,000 miles later, 2,500 miles later, I had to replace the right lower ball. So I figured, after, that must be a fluke. It couldn't possibly go bad that quickly. And pretty quickly after I replaced the right one, the left one went bad. So here you can see at 323, so another 2,000 miles, I replaced both the lower ball joints. And this time I used Duralast parts, Seiki 555. And when that right lower ball joint went bad, I replaced it with another Moog one. So at this point I had the first Moog one on this side and the second Moog one on the passenger side. Here you can see the boxes from the Duralast ones. Part number FA 1612. And here are the Duralast ones. You can see the 555 stamp there. These are genuine 555 ones. People were saying that these were OEM quality. So here's the 555 one, and right off the bat you can see it's a much better design. It's actually got, a real seal here. It's got this extra lip that helps it seal when it rotates against the knuckle. It's got a spring clamp there. And overall it just looks nicer. It looks like a better machine part, compared to this Moog one, which it just looks cheap. The 555 ones also come with the grease fitting, and overall they look almost exactly like the Toyota ball joints, and that's, when I bought these, they looked really good. Now it's really strange, I can't show you, they feel tight, but as soon as I put these in, brand new out of the box, they had play. It's weird because you can't feel it when you have them on the bench, but they had play brand new, and I can't explain it. They both did. I even thought that it was a fluke. I went and bought, this is my second pair of these. It didn't cost me anything, lifetime warranty, but I couldn't believe it. Now, they were new and they had play, so they must be horrible quality. I don't know, but that's why I went to the Toyota ball joint. Now the Toyota ones look almost identical to the 555 ones, but well, they're even better quality, because not only they have a good seal design, but they have no play right out of the box. Now my original ones lasted over 300,000 miles. So I don't know how every other company just can't do it, but oh, come on, get out of the way, cat. But these ones should last much longer. And to be honest, they didn't even cost that much more than the Duralast or the Moog ones. So I don't know. I see no point in not going OEM. Alright, so that's the lower ball joints. Now let's have a look at the upper ones. This is an upper ball joint from Moog. I actually had no problems with play with these. These actually had they didn't wear out. But they have a really poor seal design. So look here. That one's obviously torn. And so is this one. So here's that ball joint again. I just wiped the boot off to get some of that greasy mud off of there and muddy grease. And you can see the tear right there. Now these ball joints don't actually have any play, but like I said, the seal design is really poor. And you know, if the seal tears, which this one did after like 5,000 miles, then it's going to let dirt in. It's going to let grease out and it's going to let dirt in. So let me show you how the Toyota ones are far superior to these. There's the Toyota one there, and you can see how it's got like a bellows. See what I mean with the seal? Sort of like how a CV joint has all those little ribs on it. Well, the upper ball joint, the seal is like that too. But the Moog one is just this straight cone. So maybe on a passenger car that would be okay, but on a four-wheel drive truck where the suspension is articulating a lot, that means that this ball joint, the stud, is rotating a whole bunch inside of that the housing. So that means that seal has to rock back and forth a lot. And you can imagine that that's going to put a lot more stress on that seal. Now if that seal had a bellows, you know, sort of like this, whereas the Toyota one actually has multiple ribs, it would cause a lot less stress. That's why CV joints have that, because CV joints they're bending 100% of the time when you're moving, pretty much, especially when you go around turns. And they wouldn't last at all if they were just a straight piece of rubber. That's why they have those ribs on them. It helps them last longer. And Moog didn't do that. Now, I got really tired of replacing ball joints every 4 months or whatever it was, and so that's why I went with Toyota. Now, the Toyota ones, they are a little bit more expensive. I'd say about a quarter of the price, like 25% more. But for them to last 10 times as long, and for you not to have to put in the labor of replacing them, then I'd say it's worth it. Not only that, I'm hoping that I can recoup some of the cost because I still have the receipts and some of the boxes from buying these parts. So I'm hoping that I can return them and say that I really was not satisfied, because these are really poor quality. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that this is not going to keep the mud out. Alright, well now let's examine the Moog inner tie rod ends for the IFS Toyota. This boot's not actually torn, but look how much grease pooped out of there. I mean, that is a serious mess. And it's a similar design to the lower ball joints, where the seal is really just a rubber boot that slides over, so it doesn't really seal very well. Let me clean this up and we'll look at it more closely. Here's the other side. I don't remember which side was which, but this boot is clearly torn. It's torn right down the middle, and it's basically a yeah, so you can see it there. So I'm going to clean these parts up and we'll look at them some more. Okay, so I cleaned up that seal. This is the good one. Well, not the good one, but this is the one that isn't torn. And you can actually see it's sort of disshapen there. And it looks like this part was folded over, and it was probably not sealing properly. I mean, not sealing even as good as it possibly could, which isn't very good. And here's the ball joint, or the tie rod. I cleaned it up. It's actually tight. I mean, it's not brand new tight, but it seems okay. So I mean, I have no issue with that. But yeah, I mean, the seal design is just horrible. Look at this. It's the same as that lower ball joint, where this cup just sort of fits over the end of the tie rod. There's no bellows to help it pivot and not break. There's no sealing spring clamp, so it's pretty horrible. And this one looks exactly the same, except obviously it's very torn. And I'm not going to bother cleaning it up or cleaning this up. It is, however, quite ironic that they call it the problem solver, because I've had nothing but problems with these Moog tie rod ends and Balljoints. Horrible design, mainly attributed to the seals, but the Balljoints themselves, at least the lower ones, I had. I mean, they wore out really fast, so definitely not buying Moog again. So here's my pile of bad Moog parts: upper ball joints, lower ball joints, and tie rod ends. Now, only the inners are here. The outer ones actually seem to be holding up okay for now. I'll just have to keep an eye on them. You'll see that the 555 ball joints, the lower ones, the Duralast ones, they're gone. I actually returned those and got my $60-something back. So I'm going to see if Advanced Auto Parts is as nice as Duralast was, actually, or AutoZone. One of those is right. See if they're as nice as AutoZone and see if I can get my money back. Let's see what happens. So I hope this has provided you with some insight on, hopefully it helps somebody make the right decision and buy the Toyota parts. I'm not going to tell you not to buy the Moog ones, but I'm going to say that they are horrible quality, and in my experience, I'm really not happy with them, and I think that it would be a far better choice for you to buy the Toyota ones. If Toyota can build a product that lasts 300,000 miles, wouldn't you believe that it's a seriously high quality part?